The first ingredient is Moong Dal. So here I have green gram, which is of course skinned. It doesn't have the green skin. It is yellow in color. This needs to be washed at least twice, thrice over. And then we need to soak it for a minimum and a maximum of 2 hours. For a simple reason, because minimum 2 hours, because you want it to bloom, you want it to kind of puff up, you want it to soak all the wonderful water and rehydrate. And maximum because you do not want it to oversaturate, because otherwise this will be extremely runny when you grind it into a paste. So here you have this dal which is soaked beautifully for 2 hours. Into this, I'm adding in a few ingredients for flavor. First one, green chilies, just cutting them roughly like so. And again, this depends on how spicy you're really looking at this recipe to be. I like it slightly spicier. The original recipe is not as spicy. One chili is just about perfect. To accentuate the spice, they also add in a knob of ginger, which is again very important. I'm going to peel this off. And I'm going to keep all the peels aside because I'm going to use that while making the chai. Remember this. Let's cut this in little bits. The whole idea is to ensure that this grinds well eventually, because it's fine if there is like a bite to this recipe, but otherwise it's always important to grind this nice and fine. To this, I'm going to add in seeds of cumin, just a touch of red chili powder. To this, I'm going to add in a little bit of coriander, of course, coriander leaves. Now, salt, especially in a fritter or a vada, is very critical and very important because it eventually dries out. Once this is mixed well, we're going to transfer this of course, in a mixer jar, and I'm going to add a little water to ensure that this becomes like a vada batter. Now, again, this is a very tricky thing. How much water do you add? Now, if you have like a cup full of moong dal, which you're going to soak and you're going to bloom, you're going to add in not more than 1/4 cup of water, which also is actually subjective because you may add lesser or more depending on the quality of the moong as well. So initially, just go low and slow, add in little, see how pasty it gets, see how batter-like it gets, and if you want, we can add in more, of course. Now, to grind this, you may require water. This is completely subjective. It really depends on how well bloomed your moong is. We've transferred this in a bowl, and it's important to start frying this as soon as possible, because if this keeps lying around, this will start watering and this will start getting thinner and thinner in case by any chance, and this is just a chef's tip from my heart. In case you feel this has become too watery, a tablespoon of gram flour is going to work wonders for you. At this point in time, it's important to light the flame to ensure that the oil is heating beautifully well while you're still kind of mixing this, because it's always important to aerate this slightly so that you do not want to add in a baking powder or a baking soda or even any fruit salt to this recipe. So it's important to keep whipping this till we are ready to fry. Once the oil is hot enough, let's begin frying. It's important to dip your fingers in cold water and then fry this into little dumplings. You will realize and notice that the moment this hits the oil, it'll start blooming, it'll start puffing, and that is all thanks to the whipping that we did, because that in a lot of ways incorporated a lot of air in the batter. Very important. Let's fry this till they're nice, crisp and golden brown. Initially, the flame needs to be low-medium, and eventually, once all the vadas are in the oil, we increase the flame on a high and fry these. Let's transfer this on an absorbent tissue paper and ensure all the excess oil gets absorbed. And with this, ladies and gentlemen, Victoria Vada is done and ready. Let's move on to our second recipe, which is a special chai. Let's clear all of this and begin with chai. Special chai has a few more ingredients that go in, especially when it comes to the flavor profile. But what I'm doing is I'm going to turn the tables completely on their heads. I am going to begin with milk and then add in water. Let's see how. I'm going to add in full fat milk. And to this, I'm going to add in a little bit of water. Now, flavor wise, I'm going to add in a couple of things in this. I'm going to add in green cardamom. Knock these lightly, like so. Ensure that the skin and the seeds get slightly bruised like so, and we add this into the milk. The next ingredient that goes in, ginger. Now if you remember from the Victoria Vada recipe, I'm going to add it into the mortar and pestle. Maybe increase the quantity of ginger lightly and knock this as well. Let's add this like so. And next to this, I'm going to add in saffron, which is going to make this special tea extra special. Now these strands of saffron are straight from the heart of Kashmir. Lovely, beautiful, intense, flavorful, aromatic. I'm just going to add in 2 or 3 of these little strands of saffron. I'm going to take a spatula, which is really not required, especially when you make something like a chai. But once in a while, it's good to just give this a little bit of a stir. I'm going to add in tea leaves. Now these are regular tea leaves that you and I have in our humble homes, and I'm going to add this in. You allow this to boil for a couple of minutes. 3 to 4 is just about perfect, and after which we will add in the sugar. Now sugar again is as per the sweetness of our choice. We can add in some substitute for all we care, but the magic of sugar remains. Time to add in the sugar, the sweetener. Now like I said, really depends on your taste, your liking. You can of course also make the tea a little more intense by adding in some more tea leaves. And with this, of course, the flame. With the help of a tea strainer. And finally on top of this, additionally and optionally, a few strands of saffron. With this, our recipe of Victoria Vada and a special chai done and ready. Stay tuned for more such quick, simple, easy and stunning recipes. Bye for now.